back with another video, and you know, I've been trying to get to another vinyl absorption, the series I like to do. I think this is number 21 now. Hopefully I can get a few more at the end of the year. After this video, I'll have this long-awaited Moondog video I've been working on, so excited to present that and really putting a lot of time into it. But I've had this pile of new records. Well, I have a lot of other new records to get to. But this is a pile I've been most recently listening to the most and really absorbing. So we're going to get into that the way I've done in the past. WFMU is just over 2 weeks away. I'll definitely be putting together a target video the way I like to do for fun. It is a fun thing. It's not a absolute guarantee or necessity for me to track down those specific records. But I will do it, have a few fun things in the works, an announcement perhaps. Other than that, before we get into the vinyl absorption, I wanted to highlight a special show that happened here at my house. In the back of my house I have a barn. I live in the city technically of Ithaca, but there are a lot of houses that have multiple structures on them, and ours does. We have a structure that's half, part of it is a carport where our car parks and a shed, and then attached to all that is a big barn. And we've been meaning to do something special with it. And we put on a show. I've been in touch with Liam Grant, who's a younger, or sort of newer guitarist on the scene out of Massachusetts. He's been playing for a bunch of years now, but he's still pretty new, pretty young. But every record he does is just been fantastic and really showing a lot of growth and becoming one of the primary, one of the guitarists to look to when it comes to the American primitive style and the followers of John Fahey. Well, he got in touch a while ago now, 6 months ago, that he wanted to come back to Ithaca, and he wanted to book a show with Glenn Jones. And Glenn Jones is an all-time hero of mine, an absolute guitar god. It's funny to think of him as a guitar god when it comes to this style, but that's how I think of him. And no place was making sense, to make a long story short, so we decided we were going to put the show on in our barn, and it happened October 7th, just over 2 weeks ago. They stayed here, or Glenn stayed here, and Liam stayed next door, our friend's house, who helped us put on the show. But it couldn't have been better. We really set up the space. I'm going to put a lot of photos and video of it, and it was just an absolutely magical night. We filled the barn pretty much to capacity. Both guys made a bunch of money. We had a great time. We served drinks and things. Everyone who was here was really surprised, or not even surprised, but just blown away by how well it was and how good it sounded in the barn. Not technically a legal show, but being that it was an acoustic instrumental on a Tuesday night, it sounded amazing in there. The crickets were blending in. It felt really good in the room. We had seats, and both Glenn and Liam were really happy with the results, as were we. So we were really excited to do that. I wanted to report on it, and it was just a magical night. Magical night. Thanks for everyone who came. And here's some video. And the cool thing was that Glenn played a track off My Garden State called Across the Tappan Zee. And it's the song that we play every time we cross the Tappan Zee Bridge, which is now the Governor Cuomo Bridge. The Andrew Cuomo Bridge. No longer the governor, but it's still the Tappan Zee to me. Well, he hadn't played that in a long time, and we told him how we play it every time we go over the bridge as a family. And he decided that he would relearn it or reacquaint with himself so he could play it. And so he sent that out to us in the barn. And I have video of him playing it. And it was a beautiful moment. And he played a few tracks off this. This is probably my favorite Glenn Jones record, My Garden State. It's the one that really solidified for me how good he is, or just what a fan I was. And he's one of the few guys I have all of his records with. And because I did, he wanted to give me a record. I'm like, well, I have everything, Glenn. So he gave me the one thing I didn't have, which is this DVD with Jack Rose, long past now, sadly, very young. A real hell of a talent, Jack Rose. So this is a DVD of them playing together. I don't have this, solos and duets. So he passed this along to me. I really appreciate it. I'll never forget that night. So we'll see. Maybe we'll do more shows there. Glenn Jones, Liam, thank you so much for being here. Check out some of this video. Hope you enjoy it. To start with another guitarist, not unlike Glenn Jones, but it is David Grubbs. I've already talked about this record a little bit. I bought this at Harvest Records in Asheville when we were on tour, when the band was on tour there. And I've been absolutely loving this album. It was one I was looking for. And it was one I specifically wanted to get turned on to because Josh Abrams. I did a whole episode on Josh Abrams. And he plays on this, as he does a lot of different kinds of music. And David Grubbs, of course, was in Gastro del Sol, Bastro, Boxhead Ensemble. What's the other? Oh, he's played with Palace, of course. He's done a lot. There's more than I'm not even saying. Squirrel Bait early on. And this is, I guess it's technically his second album, but the one before this, I think, was, his record before this, I think, was like a Table of the Elements, more of a sort of experimental thing. This is like his first proper sort of songs-based sort of record. I don't have that, but I think it's CD only because it's Table of the Elements. But The Thicket from 1998 on Drag City. I have Tortoise members on here. Josh Abrams, as I said. Tony Conrad plays on this on a few songs, contributing violin. There's trumpet and trombone. And it's just, this is a great approach and super approachable, but interesting, and leaves you sort of like a little bit deep in thought on it. It's kind of like a I don't want to say neo-folk, but it's a more sort of forward-thinking folk music, but with an experimental bend. There's a lot of like found sound and cool orchestral ideas and swells. And David Grubbs has a new record out now on Drag City, actually, this year, which is pretty good. It's nothing like this, though. To me, this is sort of like a real highlight in his career. Like I said, it's from 1998 on Drag City. It's a little bit strange at times. Like the Conrad part is really cool. You know, if you like things like, well, any of the Jim O'Rourke albums on Drag City that are more of Jim O'Rourke sort of rock albums or folk albums, Ariel M, Papa M, you'll love this. I mean, those are all sort of related acts, and I want to say, I feel like Jim O'Rourke has to be involved in this. They've certainly worked together. I don't know if he is. It's hard to read this insert, hard to read the text, but a beautiful album from David Grubbs. It was selling for a little bit more than I wanted to pay for it, like $30, $40. And Harvest, what a great shop. They had this for $20 sitting in the bin. I was not that long ago only discovered it, so that was super sweet. Highly recommend David Grubbs' The Thicket. See if you can source that one if you're interested. And yeah, I'll show you the label real quick.
To begin with, it's a voice, much like the one that last spoke. As an echo, it edits, and it only tells half a joke. Gap precedes the rejoinder. Editorially, it's cruel. Statement comes back a question, and a question returns a rule.
One that's kind of related in sound-wise and related in members, and that's what we're listening to right now, coming up here. Town and Country. This is what's been playing in the background, and what I hope to play the whole episode. This is It All Has to Do With It. Maybe their defining album. Only 2 of their records exist on vinyl. I think maybe there's a 7-inch. Most of it is CD. And this is Thrill Jockey, another Chicago label, of course, came out in 2000. Recorded and mixed at Soma Tortoise Studio by Casey Rice. And you don't actually have any Tortoise members on here. It's just the special, or just the members themselves, which is Joshua Abrams on bass, Jim Dorling, Liz Payne, who would go on to do stuff in Joan of Arc, and Ben Vita, who we've talked about a little bit on this channel, as have others. Stunty, I know, is like some of Ben Vita's projects. Yeah, they were all in this band. This is sort of, I wouldn't call this a rock band or a folk band. It's kind of a minimal sort of post-chamber, a little like Rachel's, but I'd call this a little more on the folk side of thing than Rachel's. Just gorgeous, really gorgeous, kind of abstract and a little bit out there, but not like noisy at all. Just like kind of like chamber music, but really subtle and a lot of nuance and things, and just a lot of strong ideas, I think, on this throughout. Textural, moody, just this is the kind of record that anyone can get into, I think. It's the thing that might for some blend into the background while we're listening to it, so you can hear it, but but doesn't blend into the background because there's actually a lot of interesting movements and things going on. But it's like all acoustic instruments. String bass, acoustic guitar, just list the instruments here. String bass, acoustic, harmonium, celeste, trumpet, accordion, piano, mbira, vibes, bells, and snare drum specifically. So not even a full drum kit. But this is another one that, as we hear it, is out of print with Thrill Jockey, and you might get lucky finding this in a store. I actually bought this online, waiting for the price to be decent, around $30, $35, and that's what I paid for it. Actually, I got another album, number 5, which I need to listen to some more. This is the one I've been listening to the most. And they came up when I did the Joshua Abrams focus. Somebody commented about them, and we were like, yeah, I'm already looking for those town and country albums. So gorgeous stuff, as you're hopefully enjoying. This is, again, from the year 2000. It all has to do with it, town and country, on Thrill Jockey Records. Alright, switching gears, we're going to go into a classic here, one that I used to have the reissue of for many years. This label Jaguar that does reissues, they don't do a ton of reissues. And when I did the first big reissue purge, I sold the 2 albums, and I actually sold an archival release of theirs, which I kind of went back. But anyway, talking about Swell Maps' second album, Jane from Occupied Europe. What an iconic band. If you don't know, Jane or Swell Maps came out of the punk or post-punk movement, but were really already well ahead of what was going on there. A notorious influence on Pavement. This is their second and final album. 2 proper records and lots of singles. They had the really influential single, Read About Seymour, which I would like to have. And this isn't terribly expensive. It just took time for me to not get... Oh no, I ended up getting this from Europe because I was getting something else from Europe. And this I was able to throw in for a very fair price. It's hard to get these UK pressings in the US, and yeah, I had to get this from Europe. This is like awesome. Like really good little secret hooks in here. Experimental and trashy, a krautrock influence, but definitely punk. You have the 2. They're unfortunately both lost, both of them. Nicky Sudden and Epic Soundtracks, otherwise known as Kevin and Adrian Godfrey. Bros, unfortunately passed. They passed in their, 40s, or yeah, both pretty young if I remember correctly. 4 singles, 2 LPs, a really early classic of Rough Trade. Like Rough Trade was like, in their prime era, in the early Rough Trade. And also, I think, co-released with Rather Records. But yeah, punk, but experimental. Like, what's not to like there? You get a little of both. I still need a trip to Marineville back, because I sold that reissue. This is just, everyone should know this record, and hopefully you dig, or maybe you have. But I got it, by the way, which are one of the other records in this pile too, from Black Plastic in Germany. One of my favorite retailers, one of my favorite Discog stores. This store has been great every time I've dealt with them. Great stuff, well described, great communication, open to offers. They took my offers, which were reasonable, but not decent. I wouldn't call them aggressive offers, but I would say I was asking a decent price. Went with the offers, shipped fast, packed well, all of it. Conditions sparkling. Grade A seller right here, Black Plastic. So I'm keeping that in the sleeve. But I've already done many orders with them, and I've never had anything but a good experience, so I recommend them. But Swell Maps, obviously, yeah, influencing all of the indie bands, essentially, that would come later. Dinosaur Jr., Sonic Youth Pavement. But also just influencing, noise rock, even, you might say.
I don't wanna go because I know and all those toys that crawling his feast for doors. I don't wanna go because I know and I've seen you're crying up on the ship. You
Okay, something also from the post-punk era a little bit later. One I know Stunty, we talked about. He was looking for this, and he was able to get it just before me. I know he'd been looking for it for a long time. I got turned on to this recently. An interesting, I wouldn't call him post-punk, but I'd call him kind of that era. L'Empire des Sons, Empire of Suns. And one and only record, French band out of, I believe, from Paris, but definitely French. 1986, this is a private press. They had another album in 1990, but it was only on CD. Self-titled. This kind of gives you that combination of, not Swell Maps, Young Marble Giants, Antenna, but they're throwing in all this other stuff, a little bit of Latin influence, like bossa nova, a little bit of lounge, a little bit of post-punk, as I said, done from a sort of arty perspective, obviously. And I just loved this when I heard it. It's a pretty big band. Is there an insert? François Bassanet, or François Bassat, violin, or I guess that would be viola. François Biton, drums, marimba percussion, Valerie Gonzalez, clavier, Dominique Lantin, drums, flutes, kalimba, chant, so you're getting an idea of what they're playing. More clavier and xylophone, Isabelle Lantin. A lot of people playing clavier. Singing, of course, guitar, a little bit, there's all kinds of stuff going on. So 1986, this was recorded at, I guess, a pretty famous French studio. Maybe Stunty knows it, I'm sure. The Translab studio. Recorded a lot of big French records, I guess, in the 1980s is what I found. There's not a ton of info on them, so that's kind of what I found. But very singular, a lot of percussion-based sort of pop music, or you might call this rock or pop in opposition, maybe. But there's synth on here too. But lots, like I said, as you even heard, vibes, kalimbas, marimbas, and just a vocal style that is ahead of its time, kind of almost stream of consciousness. So this will appeal to people who like indie stuff, but also left forward thinking pop music, and really hit the spot for me. And it is a private press, no real label to it, but there is a reissue, and that's why I was bringing it up with Stunty, because I saw this reissue coming out and I was like, what are these guys about? So you can get this reissue. I don't remember the label off the top of my head, but I'm sure you're resourceful, you can find it. This next one could have easily been in my Grail Cube video or not Grails, hard to find records, mega ones. I could have put this in there, but I didn't. This probably should have been on one of my targeted lists for the years. I was super excited to find this. Giovanni Venosta, the Italian composer who's worked with Roberto Muschi. This is Olympic Signals, or Improbable Music for People Who Aren't Very Disposed. From 1980, I think this is 85, yeah. One of two records on the Raw Material label. The other is that absolutely 10 out of 10 loud music by Roberto Muschi, and they work together. And this is coming from the same sort of perspective, merging postmodern, a fusion of international sounds, African sounds, Eastern sounds, odd sort of tape experiment. He's a pianist. They would collaborate on one other record, which I'm still looking for. Hopefully we'll find, maybe at WFMU. But Muschi's a close associate, and he does turn up when you're doing found sound, tape manipulation, as I said. Recorded in 1984 in Milan. All music by Venosta, though. This is his only real proper studio record, if I have that right. And this is pretty cool. Now, let me tell you what else is being played on here. Acoustic pianos, Poly 61 synth, percussion. This is all mostly by Venosta with help from Muschi. Tapes and vocoder, flutes, bass clarinet, alto sax, electronically disposed. Alto sax. We also have oboe, violin. And check this out. I mean, this inner sleeve. I don't know if this is his signature. It's somebody's signature. But I got this from the trade. I have one more vinyl swap coming up at the club I like to do it at, called the Downstairs. It's closing, so I have to find a new location for it if we continue it. But I have one more coming up in November. And at the last one, I was able to trade with my friend Nico. He had this. I traded him my Gil Scott Heron, my clean Gil Scott Heron. I always forget the name. Why do I always forget the name of this? That Revolution of a Man, right? That's Revolution Will Not Be Televised. Pieces of a Man. I did not want to trade that, and I had a nice copy. It was a second press. So I'm like, well, this is an excuse for me to find a clean first. But I did not want to trade it because I love that. But I wanted this, and to get this here in Ithaca as a trade, and it's something that I've not seen in the U.S. very often, not seen at all for sale very often, was a big score. Really happy to get that. This is a big one for me. I love this music. I love this approach in Italian minimalism, Italian composers is really big for me. So happy to get it. The raw material label. Giovanni Venosta, Olympic Signals. Okay, next, one I have to thank Alex, one of my favorite folks in the VC. JD Emmanuel's Rainforest Music is right here. Alex, I guess, got this for a good price, and he sold it to me. He kind of thought he remembered me needing it, and I did. I had this reissue, and I decided to let this reissue go in the hopes that I would replace it with the original. This is the one I definitely wanted, one of the kind of records I definitely wanted to replace. Thanks to Alex, I was able to get it from him. So this is the original 1981, well, not private, basically a private pressing on North Star Productions, 1981, out of Texas. This is a classic in the private issue New Age, I don't know what you call it, scene, we can call it a happening. Privately made, privately recorded, privately released, but all of this meditative, ambient, environmental, cosmic, psychedelic music. This was sort of recorded specifically for counseling people in physical therapy, massage, but also for relaxation, spirituality, meditation. This basically, Emmanuel founded this type of music based on having that as a thing he wanted to do. And he employed Frippertronics, basically, which, if you don't know, for the two Brian Eno and Robert Fripp collaborations, No Pussyfootin' and North the second album, but mostly on that first album, No Pussyfooting, using two tape machines, playing live into one and recording it and having that go as an out into the second tape machine, and using digital, or not digital, tape delay essentially. And one plays into another, gets recorded, goes into the other, and sort of then what comes out of that is manipulated and it all comes back together. And that's essentially what Fripp and Eno were doing, and that's what JD Emanuel was doing. I'm assuming you don't know if we heard that record, but the Eno Fripp. But two sidelong tracks, Rainforest Music is the side, and Visions During Movement. Imagine being on a cliff overlooking the ocean. It is early morning. As the sun breaks the water, you begin moving into the rhythm of the music in the ocean. Composed, arranged, performed, and recorded by JD Emanuel at his studio in Houston. His instrumentation includes the Krumar organ, 3 sequential circuits, Pro 1 synths, and the Yari acoustical guitar with special effects. And yeah, you have Rainforest Music with movements, Floating Rain, Alone by Myself, Child is Father of the Man, Song of the Birds, Dance of the Meadow, Raindrop Fantasy. I know that all sounds like New Age bullshit, but it's truly beautiful music. And this is like real New Age to me. This was like real cosmic, like mind thinking, mind sort of throbbing music. And it's psychedelic. As you know, I love psychedelic music, but it doesn't have to be rock. We've talked about that. And this is a good example. This is psychedelic and expansive and transportive music. Influenced by early 70s minimalism, Terry Riley, Steve Reich, Lamont Young, and just beautiful, beautiful sounds that you can just enjoy really anytime. I love this music. Always have, always will. So thankful to get it. Thank you, Alex. And the cover is all watercolors done by Molly Kahn, I guess it is. So, yeah, I think the reissue is still either in print or been repressed or findable. And this is not terribly rare, but not easy to find and not necessarily cheap either. All right, let's get into some jazz. I know everyone loves the jazz. Here's a classic, I think for many, Eddie Henderson, Inside Out. Eddie Henderson, at this time, he made these 2 cosmic jazz records. This one with the Mwandishi Band. I have Realization, didn't have Inside Out. This turned up at Angry Mom Records here, who's been getting a stellar bunch of jazz since the summer. And I haven't been shopping too much there, but when I've gone in, I've definitely found some stuff. This is the UK pressing on Capricorn, not what they're known for, Capricorn. They're more known for the Southern Rock and Allman Brothers. But they did release this. I know it was also released on the Cobblestone label, I think, in the US. And this is just so good. You know, you have synthesizers on here from Pat Gleason. But otherwise, you have this is the band. Herbie Hancock, Benny Maupin, Buster Williams, Eric Gravatt is not on all of them, but Billy Hart, Bill Summers on congas, and yeah, Patrick Gleason on synth. And that's essentially what the Mwandishi Band is. And I love that thing that was happening with certain groups. You had the group that would end up being on Strata East labels. It started with Max Roach's, the record I talk about for like every day for like a year. Which I'm all of a sudden spacing on. I'll put it in because I'm an idiot. I'm forgetting. But no, I like how that band ended up sort of playing on a bunch of other records and ended up on, you know, basically founding Strata East. Anyway, here is like what could be an ECM record, or should have been, or might have been an ECM record, but it's from 1974. And it's just very much of that style, just cosmic, out there, sort of spacious, you know, patient, you know, very, again, textural comes up for me. Lovely music. Eric Gravatt is great on this. So good at preserving space. As is Billy Hart, of course. You can't go wrong with him. And yeah, I mean, if you like that spacious space jazz or jazz with space in it, this is like prime stuff for you. Eddie Henderson doing some amazing work on this Inside Out. Really nice, clean UK pressing. Typically I go with country of origin, but I mean, being that it was right here, the price was right, it was in front of me, and it's in super good shape. I got a fair amount of jazz for you jazz peoples. Here's one I have to thank Dave, the VC ambassador, aka local bandography. He came across this I think it was Lunchbox, who he's always, you know, tempting us, or sort of like giving FOMO in the sense that, you know, he's always finding good stuff there at great prices. And he passed this along. He's like, hey man, there's a copy of Libra, Gary Bartz Quartet in the bin there for like $14 or something, $12. He's like, I have it. Like, do you want it? I was like, yeah, I do. And the next time he went there, it was there still. And this is awesome. What a great find. I mean, this is, you know, speaking of the band, similar group, you have Billy, not the same band, but around the same time, this band was making their way around. Jimmy Owens, trumpet and flugelhorn. Albert Daly, an interesting figure, someone to look into a little bit. Richard Davis, we all know how prevalent he is. Billy Higgins and on drums, and Gary Bartz, of course, on alto. Only album as a quartet, but on the Milestone label. This is from 1968. I think there's actually an earlier pressing with a different label color. I think the green labels is the earliest one, but this is right there. I mean, this is it's probably worth 3 times. You know, it's probably worth 3 times what Dave paid for it. So thank you, Dave, for sending this my way. You know, procuring for me. Great one. I mean, this is not going to get too far out there either. This is more of a modal LP from Bartz. But right at this time, late 60s, Bartz was just, he was just in the zone, you know, coming off his work with Coltrane, you know, starting to get into this is right when he formed the NTU troupe. And he's still around. He's in his mid-80s, Gary Bartz. Just firing from day one, him, Bartz, and firing on this thing. These are all Bartz compositions except for Charlie Parker tune, Bloom Dito. And there's a whole, Orrin Keepnews, of course, does the notes in the back here, but I'm not going to get into those right now. From Baltimore, Gary Bartz. Thank you, Dave. Here's one I got from Plaid Room Records. I've been looking at them for a little while. I've been aware of them. Chance did a little video talking about how good their online sale is, online store. They just did a big online sale, but I didn't get this from during the sale. They just happened to have this, and this never turns up in the US. And it popped up from my want list in Discogs, and I saw that it was from Plaid Room, and I'm like, I know what to do. Go to the Plaid Room website, and there it was. Boom, got it in the US. Who do we have here? Well, it's everybody. It's like everybody's on this record. Let me look at my quick ref notes. Quick ref notes. John Surman and Karin Krog, one of many records. I have something new to talk about from them, too. That they collaborated on. Open Space 1969. And essentially, you're getting everybody from a different country here. Karin Krog is Norwegian. Albert Mangelsdorff from Germany. John Surman, of course, is English. Yeah, Karin Krog, Norwegian. Oh, it says it right here. There. Belgium. Francy Boland. Or no. What is this going on here? Yeah, Francy Boland, I guess, is Belgium. Denmark, Niels Pedersen. And French, Daniel Humair. Oh, I always think of him as Belgian. And a cool record. They're all on this. This is on the great MPS label, who was putting out some amazing jazz and free jazz records at this time. And it's a very international affair, yeah. Karin Krog is a vocalist, and she does some weird stuff with her voice, and it all works so good with John Surman, and I really love what they do together. They would work together on a bunch of different things, from ECM, other collaborations, Odin. Francy Boland, I meant to look up. Belgian arranger for Sarah Vaughan and Count Basie. And, of course, anything with Daniel Humair, I'm going to be somewhat interested in. So this is a cool one, I believe recorded live, Downbeat Winners Poll in Europe. Never before have so many Europeans have won Downbeat Critics Poll as now. On this record, they are all united, not only as all-stars, but in a homogeneous group. I thought it was recorded live, anyway. Yeah, recorded Berlin. No, this is in a studio. Produced on the occasion of the Berlin Jazz Festival '69. Full group recordings. Karin Krog and Surman are the writers of a lot of this music. And so there's a bunch of info there. But anyway, this is so good. I was glad to find it. It's not too expensive. This is about a $25, $30 record. So definitely findable, but most of the time it is in Europe. So do your best on that one. Another European affair, but American players. Oof, this is woo, stellar stuff. I got this from Gunter, Minty Vinyl, along with another record we'll show. Uhuru na Umoja, the Frank Wright Quartet from 1970. First LP is a quartet. I've been into this one for a little while. I know Stunty always comes up. This guy's amazing. He's got it all figured out. No, but I know he played this, and I was really happy to see him play it and see that he was, into it as well. I just was looking for the good opportunity to get it, and Gunter had a few records I really wanted to get. So a couple Moondog records that are going to contribute to the video I'm doing. But this was there too, and I was so happy to see it. So 5 LPs total as a quartet, and it's on this great America label. This is a label to always take seriously or take note of when you see it. Beautiful shape, Gunther, amazing shape. Frank Wright, tenor saxophonist. You have Bobby Few, Art Taylor, and yes, Noah Howard, who's writing most of the music here. Actually, all of the music on alto. So he's writing, but it's Frank Wright's sort of group or Frank Wright's session. Produced by Pierre Bourget. And as I said, from 1970. This is like, yeah, it's going to be free jazz, but there's times where it gets a little classy, a little more, traditional, we'll say, but not really. This is a banger. So good. Art Taylor on the drums is so good. This is just a lot of fun, this one. They did have a record on, or at least Frank Wright did, on BYJXWell from Mississippi. He founded Center of the World and the French, which is a label and a band, a French free jazz label. And he played with Hamel and Silva, Muhammad Ali, Bobby Few, of course, who's on this. Really great the way they interplay and work off each other here. It's got those moments where it gets to a real frenzy, real heats up, and then it comes down and sort of gives you a moment. It's not all-out warfare kind of free jazz, as I always like to talk about. So, really excited to find this one. I'm probably going to play this one more. I'm not filing it yet. Don't worry, people. I'm not filing it and putting it to its death. Next, we're going to get into krautrock. And I say krautrock because this stuff is not really krautrock, but it's coming from the German perspective. And 2 German artists, but they're actually both quite related and linked in how they're making this music. And I have to talk about this one. This is one of the most beautiful records I've heard all year, maybe ever heard. Peter Michael Hamel of Between, his first album under his name. And this is on the Vertigo label. German original. This I got from that Black Plastic. One likes to see that. This is did not come out in the UK as Vertigo. Germany only, I think. And this is another one I've been eyeballing for a good bit now. I'm kind of newer. I mean, I sort of took Between for granted. It's been people like Chris Cole and Brandon who really sort of, and everybody, Alex too, Dave too. These guys have all been talking about Between. Fred's been talking about Between. Stunty's been talking about Between. And for many years, and I sort of overlooked them for many years. And over the last couple, I've drank the Kool-Aid or just found that it's beautiful music, and it is. And what he's doing is not krautrock. He's working with, again, international, he's working with lots of percussion, lots of African instrumentation, Middle Eastern stuff. Ambient music and minimalism. It's like, what a cool combination of sound, I think, to bring sort of, some rock ideas, but cross-pollinating with, like kind of what we're going to talk about in a second, but also like what, not Ashra Temple, but my brain is slipping a little bit. I'm forgetting the big band names. Malesh, the band that did Malesh, I'm just forgetting. Agitation Free. Yeah, I love when these bands are trying to sort of incorporate sounds of other cultures into like rock tradition. Between did it, and Peter Michael Hamel does it here all by himself, and this is stunning. This is just beautiful to hear. He plays rigged up piano, electric organ, live modulation, and voice, and that's exactly it. I love the Song of the Dolphins, the second track on the second side. This just takes you on this like really cool, trip, adventure kind of thing. And I wouldn't say adventure. I like this music that makes you sit there and sort of fall into your couch or sink. But he was really going for a concept here, and something that was really, he was reaching for something. You know, on that Song of the Dolphins, he used organ modulation with a synthesizer on 2 tracks, including natural sound of water and that modulated by synthesizer, tonality, mixolydic, so we're talking about modal scale there, and the periodics of the organ are overlaid by synthesizer modulation. He gives you detail on each track. Cathedral on C. Cathedral symbolizes the Christian ideology. But right here, here's some bio. Peter Michael Hamel, born in 47, studied composition at the Munich Conservatory with Günter Bialis, and musical history, psychology, and sociology of the universities of Munich and Berlin. So a real sort of like Renaissance man, we'll say. For some years, he has been working regularly with Joseph Anton Riedel and has frequently cooperated with Luke Ferrari. Musical impulses generated by Indian, Indonesia, and Tibetan music, member of the mixed media company Berlin, in which actors, musicians, dancers, and authors are experimenting with a new form of communication. And he's the initiator and member of the group Between, who had many other records. So there's another one on Vertigo I'd like to get, but this is a double album, and this is still so much to take in. I have more time with this. I'm not filing this one yet either. It's not going away to die. Yeah, and what a cover. Such an amazingly patient and well-restrained. I love restraint in music and space, where we're not just filling space with different stuff, even though he's using a lot of instruments and things. So, exceptional record. 1972. On the Vertigo label, as I showed him. Double LP. Okay, related, absolutely related, and came out also in '72. This also could be in the Grail video. Yeah, Popol Vuh, Hosianna Mantra, maybe their most famous record. I'm trying to, collect the Pilz label a little bit. Why? Because it looks like this. If you didn't know, well, that. Look that. How beautiful. What is this? Their 4th record, and it's their first where, and this was recently. Pitchfork did like a special write-up of this. I think they gave it like a 9.5 or maybe even a 10. It's known as their most sort of well-reviewed or most positively reviewed, this is given the most accolades. And Florian Frick, the main songwriter, the main man of Popol Vuh, was really going for something different here. He kind of cut back on synthesizers and wanted to sort of go for more earthy, more sort of direct feel, and he's playing all soaring piano and stuff on this. And it's really the sound of like the course of like a beautiful day, like the coming and going of the sun, the coming and going of life as it happens. It's a really special record, and you have Connie Veit contributing on this. But Connie Veit is playing guitar, and he's really, I just love what he does on this. And you also have the vocalist first on this first one to work with.
Sorry.
It's her first record with Popol Vuh, Jung Hyun, and she's doing the soprano singing. Some might be a little bit turned off by that. I'm not. I found it just absolutely fetching, and it's just beautiful, absolutely soaring music throughout. Klaus Weiss is on here. Of course, anything with Klaus Weiss I'm going to be interested in. He's on like 2 or 3 records of his time by Popol Vuh, playing tambura. Robert Eliscu is playing oboe. That's still a town and country. Is playing oboe from Between. Connie Veit, E and 12-string guitar. Popol Vuh. Florian Frick, piano and cembalo. Yeah, known as their most gorgeous album, I think. Hosianna Mantra. This one was finally found it in VG+ shape. Super good. No synth. Big sort of difference here for Florian Frick. All piano, soaring guitar, majestic vocals. And fully immersed in global sound. That's kind of where I was kind of getting at with the Hamel record, with the Agitation Free. Global sound and spiritual flavor, kind of like coming from that sort of place. And yeah, it's really the beginning of the East meets West when it comes to rock meeting. Well, along with some of the records I talked about too, but in terms of making that popular, a lot of other bands would try to do this after that. And it all kind of starts here. Popol Vuh, Hosianna Mantra. Sort of been tracking down all the Popol Vuh records over the last few years. Something I meant to do since I don't know when. But yeah, this is a German original on Pilz, 1972, and just a stunner. All right, two more, and these are new records. I want to talk about Carbon Records and this awesome compilation, The Sun Is Not True, and it's limited to, well, no, it's the 300th release. I don't think it's limited necessarily. Well, of course, everything is limited, but a wide-ranging overview of the international underground circa now, from Youngbloods, Spatulas, Rock Candy, and Ethan WL to exalted blasters like Bruce Russell and Thurston Moore and many more. They have come to itch your ears, open your mind, and take you to a true freedom of sound. And this is all exclusive music to this record. And here they are in the back, and I love how it was silk screen onto this old Ramsey Lewis on Cadet. Check that out. So, yeah, exclusive Thurston Moore track. Liam Grant, I talked about him. He's on here. There he is, first track. Trevor McKenzie, Grayson McGuire, Rob Noyes. I've talked a little bit about him, I think. Another great sort of primitive experimental guitarist. Joe Veter and Joe Tunis. Joe Tunis, who runs Carbon Records, right there. And thank you, Joe, again, for your support with the Liam Grant show and Glenn Jones. Like I said, Thurston Moore. David Nance does a really cool song, all recorded on his phone. Sort of the most rock song here. Rock Candy, Holt Bodish, Ethan WL, Escalation. Yeah, so there's a bit of noise. This is a little bit of everything, and this is not one of these like odds and sods compilations that doesn't really go anywhere. This is really good. I really love this. It comes with stuff. Definitely check this out. I'll link to this Carbon Records. You can still get this, I'm pretty sure. There's a bunch. Look, it even includes the original Cadet fan club newsletter thing, so that's kind of funny. I love when bands or labels sort of use the old sleeves, but I really enjoyed listening to this. Just sometimes like things like this don't all come together because it's like a lot of different sounds and it doesn't feel connected. This all feels connected even though it doesn't all sound the same. I mean, you have Bruce Russell, of course, of Dead Sea doing like noise stuff. There's some more doing a noise thing, and then you have, you know, a rock song like David Nance or like primitive American stuff like Rob Noyes and Liam Grant. So highly recommend The Sun Is Not True on Carbon Records. Check this out. Check out Carbon Records if you haven't already. Another new release, although it came out last year. This is a repress, but I was highly interested in this record. Got it from Soundome, but they sold out of it, but they did repress it. And it's one that I didn't really know. It's a new group called Able Noise, High Tide, and it's an experimental duo. One Greek, one Dutch. Debut album on the World of Echo label, as I said. And I love this cover. This is kind of something where they're composing sort of like collage, like kaleidoscopic instrumental sort of curios, we'll say. They did make a tape before this, like a 30-minute tape that was like a little bit more of like a post-rock sound on the Glasgow label, Glark. That became like hard to get. Written before by Able Noise, recorded and mixed by Able Noise. Yeah, I'll give you an idea of what they're playing. Guitar, saxophone, clarinet, violin, and other stuff. Beautiful. You'll get tricked by the first song because it sounds like it's slowing up and slowing, like the speed is slowing up and down. So that will throw you off. You might not like that, but go through it. Did I tell you what the name of it was? Yeah, High Tide. Able Noise. I hope you like the samples. It feels like a studio project, but it feels kind of improvised at the same time. I guess when they play live, it has a bit of a different thing. But when, you know, it feels more like a a live, like a band, you know, like a project like that. But in the studio setting, it's like this minimalist sort of collage-like sort of experiment, and it's really awesome. A lot of detail-oriented sound and sort of like they're painting, essentially. Like improv, but organic, yeah, kind of thing, you know, if that makes sense. I dug the heck out of this. See if you can still find this one, World of Noise, or on the World of Echo label, Able Noise, High Tides. So that's it. That's the interlude, by the way. That's it. Hope you enjoyed all that. Hit you with a bunch. Hope you enjoyed the Glenn Jones and Liam Grant stuff. And yeah, really looking forward to meeting and seeing some people in New York for WFMU, and for everyone going to Austin or went to Austin, or everyone going to Den Bosch. Hope you find all the good shit. So everyone, take care. I'll see you.